as we described earlier, you can identify people at risk, and Louis described that as well in terms of the whole matrix that he showed. This hasn't come across. This should say that we need to deal with the issues identified in a screening, so that should be like the prevention type work that a physio and strength conditioning team would do. If we move then to an in-season approach, there is the opportunity to do injury prevention warm-ups, and we know they reduce the risk of injury, and that's actually what our current project with the Ulster GA is at the minute, is designing this. And in-season we should be monitoring the players and their symptoms, and I think Louis covered that well. So, you know, from a groin pain point of view, there's good evidence out there from Australian rules. You know, if you do that adductor squeeze test and you see the power drop off, you can identify people before the pain comes on, you know, up to 2 weeks before is what the evidence would say. So that's a simple test. And then in season, for you the coach, you know, it's not rocket science to say that if you're having lots of people saying they're fatigued and you're picking up injuries, that then you maybe need to start to modify training. Okay, so that should be in conjunction with your strength and conditioning and sports medicine teams if you have them. But modification by the coach in response to the information and injury trends. I was at a conference a few months ago, and it was through UK Athletics, and one of the big themes coming through is that injuries are the coach's responsibility. If athletes are getting injured and they're under your care and you're designing their training programs, they're your responsibility. They're not something that's just bad luck or coincidence. So it's, you know, that was the big theme coming through from UK Athletics to their coaches saying, you know, if you're writing the program for this person week in, week out, and they've broken down, it's your responsibility, and it's also your responsibility to work with the sports medicine team to get them back. So it's challenging. As I say, the current project we're working with is was basically driven by, I can sort of finish now if we need to get off. Sorry. Okay. I have a couple of minutes here just a couple of slides for this. So again, Sinai's involved with Ulster GE this year, and the project is looking at preventing ACL injuries. At the first sort of meeting where we had invitations to all the county senior physios and docs, basically coming from the Ulster GA, they felt that within GA there was this increasing problem of ACL ruptures. So parties were invited, and we were very fortunate to have some excellent people, and I mean that. I think it's within the group that's working on it. I think there's people that are world class, never mind within Ireland and within Ulster. So we have physios working with the county teams involved, doctors with all the county teams. We have the likes of Louis, who's, you know, working in the Royal as part of the trauma and orthopaedic team. Obviously, as he said, loads of experience in the sort of management and rehab of ACLs. We've got Chris Connolly, who's an orthopaedic surgeon who has probably bread and butter as the management of significant knee injuries, and ACL has been a big part of that. So really strong group working on this project at the minute. The issues that were raised were that there doesn't seem to be an agreement that this is an increasing problem at a local level. Recurrence rates seem to be high, meaning, you know, that person who'd had an ACL repair, quite often there's a lot of them are going on to re-tear, and it doesn't seem that the surgery or the rehab is any different. We're asking the question why. There does seem to be an increasing number of the complex knee injuries, so people completely blowing the knee out, multi-ligament injuries, cartilage problems, fractures, these sort of significant injuries. There is an expectation that because there's more women involved in Gaelic football, and unfortunately we know they're at increased risk of ACL ruptures within a team sport environment, so there's an expectation that the numbers are going to increase as that happens. And there does seem to be areas where there seems to be a really high prevalence, and Derry was named within those evenings as seemed to be a region that seemed to have a higher risk than another. So issues were also raised about access to medical services. So somebody tears their cruciate. 7-8 years ago, a club might have been in a position where they could refer somebody to see a physio locally. That physio then quite often could refer on to see an orthopaedic specialist or get appropriate imaging. Now in austere times, it was seen that access to the physio has gone, which is limiting then the onward appropriate management of these conditions. So the consultants are staying there, seeing them 6 months later, and maybe, their knee having given way several times and much more damage within those knees. So that came across. Right. There was no major identification of any extrinsic risk factors, so namely the types of training, the types of pitches, the types of boots, all these things that people keep asking, what is causing this? It was agreed that the problem lay within the athlete, so their own, what we would term neuromuscular control, their ability to jump, to land, to twist, to turn. So that was the overriding feeling from the group. So the outcomes where we're at the minute, we've agreed that we'll deliver an ACL injury prevention product, practical pitch-based intervention. And the good news is that there's really good evidence from other sports around the world where this is a big problem also. It's not just isolated to GA. That if you do that we can really, really reduce the number of these injuries. And we're going to, how to drive that through and make it reach every grassroots club is the challenge for us. It's a bigger challenge actually delivering this than it is actually to put together the programs. We've got a fair idea of what that looks like. But it's going to take a lot of money and a lot of coaching to get that spread out. Other things are just about reducing these recurrent episodes of giving way before people get to care. So where we're at the minute, we've done this bit where we've had the think tank and identified all the goals. We're currently refining the product, and myself and Louis met for a couple of hours last week over this. So we have pretty much our intervention tied down, what the injury prevention warm-up is going to look like. Where it goes now is we need to go back to the group and make sure that it's GA specific enough so actually the coaches are happy with it, and then it will be implemented. So hopefully we're talking about that next year. Okay, so if anybody's any questions for Louis or myself, maybe.
Yeah, anybody has any questions? And we're nearly at the end, Guy.
You're good to go. I think that maybe rather you just moved on. I think. There you go. So we'll be about for a while if anybody needs to catch us.
Thank you.